For more reaction, let's bring in our team of experts. Commentary editor at the Washington Times, Kelly Sadler. Also with us, Newsmax insider and ambassador with America First Policy Institute, Tom Borelli. Okay, team, we just heard from Dr. Ben Carson all about COVID and how they're using it to control. But I want to get to something that is even more controlling of our lives, and that's President Joe Biden prepping for a 2024 run. Kelly, what the heck is he going to run on?
That's a good question, Carl, and one that I really can't answer right now. But we know that his stop to the southern border today is largely because he's preparing for another run, and he knows that the American population overwhelmingly disapprove of the job that he's doing on the southern border, and that it is a crisis, even though his administration doesn't want to admit it. It is not just a situation. It is a humanitarian crisis. It's a national security crisis, and it's just unfortunate that this is just a pit stop for him on his way to Mexico City, and that El Paso has been cleaned up, and he's not going to actually be able to see the true humanitarian crisis that he has created, because he lives in this bubble, this Washington, D.C. bubble, this Truman Show bubble. He'll go there, and for people who do not watch Newsmax and do not watch Fox News, we'll be like, oh, well, this doesn't look like a problem. El Paso's not overrun with migrants. He's doing a great job. But, you know, this visit is because a lot of Democrats have criticized the job that he's doing on the border. He knows he's underwater with the American population for the job he's doing on the border. So he's going to go there today and say, everything's okay. Yeah. We're doing a good job. I've got a plan. Vote for me in 2024.
People are not just upset with his failure on the border. They're upset with his failure as president, period. But, Tom, that goes to my original question to Kelly, which was like, you know, the American people are not stupid. I set out this broadcast every day, and we sit down, we write these segments, and we talk about it through the lens that you, the viewer at home, is smarter than me delivering this thing. So you are going to understand more than I do about this sitting at home, and I assume that. So you have to assume also that the average American is like, I am not fooled by the fact that you're telling me the gas is cheaper than it was a year ago, because it's $1 more than it was 2 years ago. I am not fooled by the fact that eggs cost 2, 3, 4 times as much. Gallon of milk, going anywhere, doing anything costs more. Why would Joe Biden run for a second term?
Carl, because he's been a political animal his whole life. And in addition to that, he's been a fraud his whole life. But somehow that got him to the highest office in the nation. So he's not going to stop. And in fact, I think his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, is not going to let him stop either, because she loves the perk of being a first lady. This is all ego. It's all power. And the only silver lining of the disappointing results for Republicans in the past election, the only silver lining is that it means that the Democrats, they don't have a reason to get rid of Biden. So they're kind of stuck with him, which I think would be great for Americans if Biden did run, because to your point, he has a horrible record. And to Kelly's point, this is nothing more than a photo op as he goes down to the border. Just this year, the fiscal year for the government, over something like 600,000 illegal migrants have been caught over the border, and 200,000 gotaways. That's enough to fill the University of Michigan football stadium about 8 times. This is outrageous. It's a humanitarian problem, and ultimately he's going to pay a political price for that.
Right, but listen, Kelly, listen to what Joe Biden said the other day. Listen to this.
To determine what's in the container and at the border. For example, since August of last year, Customs and Border Patrol have seized more than 20,000 pounds of deadly fentanyl. That's enough to kill as many as 1,000 people in this country. 20,000 pounds of fentanyl. It's a killer. It's a flat killer.
Kelly, look, I assume, as usual, he's reading off of a prompter for a lot of these addresses. So nobody wrote 1,000 people in that prompter. No. Does this just show that he doesn't understand how serious the problem is?
Well, it's very disconnected, right? I think the correct number is something like 4.5 billion people. It'd wipe out everyone in America, half the earth. And that's just the fentanyl that's been seized. Imagine the fentanyl that has not been seized. So when he talks about these numbers, it's not like it's a great success. There's a lot more that are coming through our borders, and fentanyl is the #1 killer for those aged 18 to 35-year-olds in this country. So it is a huge problem. I'm glad that he's kind of waking up to it, but he's only waking up to it in the fact because he knows it's a political liability for him. His border solution is not a solution at all. It's just a way to process more people coming into this country, and will be challenged in the courts because he wants to basically, it's a pathway to amnesty, not a pathway to border security. And first and foremost, we need border security, and then we can talk about what to do with those people that are already in the country.
Yeah, Tom, to that effect, though, why is something, if he knows that this is a campaign issue, that his reelection could be saddled on this border issue, why didn't he do anything for 2 years? Why do every politician, they do nothing for the bulk of their term, and then right before reelection, they're like, hey, you know what? We got to solve this problem that we created.
No, Carl, that's a great point. The politicians do this all the time, but they need to be held accountable from day one, ever since they take office. And I'm glad we're covering this because Newsmax is doing a great job covering the whole border issue. Many networks aren't, most aren't, in fact. And I think one of the interesting things here is why Biden is involved all of a sudden is because of the brilliant strategy by Texas Governor Greg Abbott to send illegal immigrants to New York City. Now you have New York City Mayor Adams crying every day, I can't handle this. I think he recently said on a radio interview he's going to have to cut services for New York City residents to deal with the tremendous influx of illegal immigrants in the city. So that's having an impact. Yeah. Biden can ignore Republicans, but he can't ignore Democrats, especially when you have the media in New York City covering this issue. Yeah. That's a problem for him.
Well, Kelly, before we let you go, President Trump obviously was integrally involved in McCarthy taking over the House of Representatives. Yeah. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene was seen holding up a phone with the initials DT on it, which are synonymous to that. So do you think going forward, policy-wise, I mean, obviously President Trump is now candidate Trump again. Policy-wise, do you see him playing a role in policies going into the House floor?
Well, absolutely. And every Republican, whether it be in the House, the Senate, or governors, support Donald Trump's America First policies because they worked. And he has the results to prove that they worked. So one of the first things that the House is going to do is going to focus on border security and building the border wall and passing bills to that effect. Democrats will probably veto them. But it is the America First policies that provided wealth to this nation, kept us out of foreign wars, provided great prosperity. And so Donald Trump has that record to run on. And now that Joe Biden has his abysmal record, it will be a great 2024 matchup based on these two men's accomplishments and or lack thereof.
Unbelievable. Kelly Sadler, Tom Borelli, appreciate you joining us this Sunday morning.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
All right.